The Detroit Diesel 16, a 5-149T IB guzzled fuel like no other and roared louder than most engines of its time. But this V16 powerhouse wasn't banned for being noisy or thirsty. It was axed for reasons you'd never expect. Stick around to uncover the shocking truth about why this legendary engine was outlawed. Before we move on, I would like you to subscribe to the channel and like the video. During the Cold War, as industries cranked out new technologies and military might became a global obsession, engines weren't just tools. They were symbols of power. This was the environment in which the Detroit Diesel 16 5-149 TIB was conceived. The demands of the era were colossal. Governments and industries wanted engines capable of running non-stop under extreme loads, yet compact enough to fit in machines where space was scarce. Detroit Diesel had already proven itself with earlier designs, but this time, they aimed to create something unprecedented. The challenge? Building an engine that pushed the limits of power, reliability, and efficiency all at once. The result was a beast of an engine that didn't just catch attention, it redefined expectations. Known officially as the 16 V149 TIB, it stood out for its groundbreaking design and raw specs. The naming alone offered clues to the innovation inside. The 16.5 referred to its 16-cylinder configuration, arranged in a 90-degree V shape, while the 149 signaled its massive bore size, with each cylinder measuring 149 cubic inches. What really made it stand apart was its two-stroke operation. Unlike four-stroke engines, which fire every other revolution, the two-stroke design unleashed power every rotation, making the engine incredibly energy-dense. And then came the extras, the TIB, denoting turbocharging, intercooling, and a blower, all working together to maximize both airflow and combustion. This wasn't a standard diesel engine, it was a technological powerhouse. At 24.4 liters of displacement, this engine didn't just move vehicles, it moved industries. It could churn out an incredible 2,700 horsepower alongside a staggering 6,000 pound-feet of torque. To give you a sense of scale, most modern heavy-duty trucks manage less than half that horsepower. Its relatively high RPM range, between 1,800 and 2,100 revolutions per minute, gave it a responsiveness that was unusual for engines of its size. And while it weighed between 5,000 and 7,000 pounds, that bulk paled in comparison to the raw power it delivered. Even its compact dimensions made it ideal for applications where engines needed to be muscular, but space was limited. The engine wasn't just about numbers on paper. It was designed for real-world challenges where failure wasn't an option. It became a favorite in military settings, where ruggedness and reliability were critical. Armored personnel carriers, tanks, and support vehicles relied on its high torque to handle rugged terrains without breaking down. In the marine sector, the 16 V149 TIB powered everything from patrol boats to tugboats, constantly facing harsh conditions at sea. Construction sites also saw its presence, driving massive bulldozers, cranes, and oil field compressors. It was the engine you wanted when other engines couldn't cut it. This versatility made the 16 V149 TIB an industry workhorse, and while it was often associated with heavy-duty equipment, its design also earned it a unique reputation for compact strength. Many engines of comparable power required significantly more space, but this V16 packed monumental performance into a relatively small footprint. That efficiency allowed it to squeeze into vehicles and vessels that had previously relied on less powerful alternatives. In industries like mining and energy, where even a slight loss of downtime could mean thousands of dollars lost, its dependability and performance proved invaluable. What set this engine apart wasn't just its impressive stats, but how it balanced compact design with epic output. It wasn't the most elegant or the cleanest running engine, but it got the job done where others couldn't. For Detroit Diesel, it marked a high point, showcasing what could be achieved when engineering chased extremes. But even legends aren't invincible. Beneath its perfect-for-the-time exterior, the 16 V149 TIB carried the seeds of its own vulnerability. Where it flourished in power, it faced struggles that would eventually lead to its downfall. How does a machine that delivered unparalleled power and reliability become unwanted? The Detroit Diesel 16.5-149 TIB didn't fail because it couldn't perform. In fact, its performance was never in question. The reality is more complicated and exposes a hard truth about engineering. Raw power often comes with a cost. The 16.5-149 TIB was an undeniable powerhouse, but it was also incredibly demanding. Its two-stroke design, while central to its output, created significant trade-offs. Two-stroke engines fire every revolution, generating far more power per cycle than four-stroke engines. But with that increased power came higher emissions and an insatiable thirst for diesel. This engine wasn't just inefficient, it practically inhaled fuel. This characteristic made it a costly choice for industries that required engines to run for long periods, such as marine vessels or mining equipment. Consider a tugboat running 24/7. Fuel bills became astronomical. For businesses, its output didn't always justify its operating expenses. Efficiency aside, the engine's two-stroke operation also meant huge issues with emissions. Every firing of the cylinder meant more pollutants escaping into the air. This engine produced thick black smoke, a notorious byproduct of incomplete combustion. While in the 1970s and 1980s, this might have been accepted as the price of doing business, the tone began to shift in the 1990s. Growing environmental concerns led to stricter emissions regulations worldwide. This wasn't just about putting out cleaner engines. Governments demanded meaningful reductions in pollutants like nitrogen oxides and particulate matter. Diesel engines, already targeted by environmental groups, became ground zero for these new restrictions. And the 16.5-149 TIB, it just couldn't keep up. Retrofitting it to meet the increasingly rigorous standards would have been a monumental task. The high-performance edge of the 16.5-149 TIB had been its greatest strength, but in an era of progress, it turned into its Achilles heel. The more powerful it got, the more it consumed, the more it emitted. It wasn't that the engine failed, it's that the world moved on. Engineers had begun rejecting designs that prioritized brute force in favor of smarter, more innovative solutions. By the early 2000s, the 16.5-149 TIB wasn't just outdated, it had become symbolic of an era that no longer fit the world's technology demands. Yet, its story wasn't entirely over because its influence stretched far beyond the day it was retired. The Detroit Diesel 16.5-149 TIB might have been retired, but if you look closely, its fingerprints are all over the engines we rely on today. When it arrived on the scene, the 16V149 TIB redefined what diesel engines could do. Its immense power and groundbreaking design proved it was possible to pack extreme performance into a relatively compact frame. That principle, achieving high power density, became a guiding light for engine designers, setting benchmarks that are still used as reference points even decades later. One of the most obvious examples of its influence is the way modern heavy-duty engines balance power and size. The 16.5-149 TIB's two-stroke system was revolutionary for maximizing output in a smaller footprint, proving essential for applications where space was limited, such as in military or marine environments. Though the two-stroke design fell out of favor due to emissions challenges, the concept of squeezing maximum output from a compact block carried forward. Engines like the Caterpillar C175-20 demonstrate this evolution. This mammoth engine delivers 4,500 horsepower, far surpassing the 16.5-149 TIB, but it does so as a four-stroke, meeting modern emissions regulations thanks to advanced electronic controls and complex emission reduction systems. What's interesting is how it reflects the same core idea, combining massive power with practical utility. The Caterpillar engine stands as an example of how the industry took what the 16.5-149 TIB pioneered and refined it for a cleaner, more efficient era. Another engine that owes a nod to the 16V149 TIB is the Cummins QS-K95. While its 95-liter displacement is significantly larger than the Detroit diesel icon, It maintains a similar philosophy: deliver raw power where it's needed most. Generating upwards of 4,400 horsepower, the QSK-95 trades some torque for lower emissions and better fuel economy, a clear pivot from the 16 Phi 149 TIB's uncompromising appetite for diesel. What stands out is this constant balance between power and environmental responsibility, a dilemma that the 16 Phi 149 TIB surfaced, but couldn't solve in its time. The 16V149 TIB also left a philosophical impact. It symbolizes an era of engineering where raw output was paramount, yet it inadvertently raised questions about sustainability and efficiency. Modern engines use technologies such as common rail fuel injection, variable geometry turbos, and advanced combustion systems, reflecting a shift toward cleaner, better controlled performance. These advances undoubtedly stem from the trade-offs highlighted by engines like the 16V's 149 TIB. Its rough edges, massive emissions, high fuel consumption forced engineers to focus on how to deliver strength without sacrificing efficiency. The Detroit Diesel 16.5 149 TIB wasn't just an engine. It was the embodiment of an era when power took precedence over everything else. Its massive output and innovative design changed the landscape of diesel engineering, setting a foundation for the engines we see today. But its downfall serves as a lesson. With progress comes compromise. As cleaner, smarter engines emerge, the 16 Phi 149 TIB reminds us of the trade-offs engineers face between brute strength and sustainability. As technology advances, what other machines might have left their mark only to fade into obscurity? Perhaps their stories are still waiting to be uncovered.